Hey everybody, welcome to NewWayStories. My name is Jesse Roberts. I am your host. With me, as always, Darius Giles, my co-host, and Ben, our producer. Guys, we have a fun and unique episode. We got some listener feedback, and so we're trying to shift the show a little bit. And the overwhelming feedback was less Jesse and Darius. Yep. There you go. If you could figure out a way, like, to get them in snippets or not at all, that would make the show a lot better. And so we took the feedback, constructive criticism, we're here. And so we actually have a special guest with us today. His name is Christian Schu, and Christian is a German filmmaker living in Germany, making films, using his camera to tell stories. And Christian, say hello to the people.
Hey guys, nice to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me. And hello everyone.
Hello indeed. Okay, so you stumbled upon NewWayStories because just looking through podcasts, and you stumbled upon us. It's fun for me to hear that, we're a world-renowned podcast.
This is the first time hearing of this. I assumed it was the opposite. Jesse, I didn't know how you guys met, so I assumed that Jesse was just on IMDb.
I'm just cold calling.
No. Which of these filmmakers has unique German names? I don't know that name. Let's reach out to this guy.
So you stumbled upon us, and then do you remember the episode that you listened to that you were like, because then you reached out and were like, I'm interested in being on your podcast. So in one way, I'm baffled and honored and excited. Yeah. So which one did you listen to?
Okay, to be very honest, I don't exactly remember which one it was, because usually when I'm driving around in Germany from one client to another or within Europe, opposite from the US, in Europe, you can practically reach a lot of cities within 4 to 6 to 8 hours easily. Germany being in the center, more or less, of Europe. So I can just go to Paris in 6 hours, go to Zurich in 3 hours, and so on. So it's
for reference, it takes us 6 hours to drive from the one major city in Washington to the other major city in Washington state. In the state that we live in.
I was going to say, you 6
in
hours.
the province we live in.
You get to Salem, Oregon. Very exciting. Very booming town.
It's not even the one where they killed the witches.
Yeah, it's not that fun.
No, it's not that one.
It's not even the good Salem. Good Salem is maybe a bad way to describe that.
We know what you're talking about.
Sorry. Okay, so you were driving in the car, you were listening to random things.
No worries. Actually, in 6 hours, I can go through, I think, 3 or 4 countries here easily.
That's
really
insane.
And not the states. Another story.
We can drive through a lot of the country.
Well,
we can
because
through the country.
We were saying that, this a little bit of a rabbit trail, but you said about an hour and a half south of Frankfurt, Germany, not Kentucky for our American listeners. You're kind of on the border of France and Switzerland, and you have all these countries, really close to you.
Beautiful there.
Okay, but it gets a little bit more confusing for you guys, maybe. Because actually,
definitely.
We're Americans, so we're already confused.
That's true.
I'm actually not living in Germany. I mean, I'm German. I'm in Germany every second month, but I'm living in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia.
Whoa.
So I'm traveling every month between the 2 continents by plane. So, yeah.
How long is the flight from... That's a pretty long flight. What is that, a 10-hour flight?
I'm usually taking Emirates via Dubai, because I also have clients there and people. So it's 6 hours to Dubai from Frankfurt, and then another 7 hours to Kuala Lumpur.
Okay. Well, that actually makes me feel a little bit better, because I was like trying to figure out how Asia worked into the 6 hour mark. And I was like, I'm really bad at geography, but you're confirming that I had it correct the first time.
Yes. It's like, actually, it's much smaller. I can drive from I can drive actually from London to Moscow in 5 hours.
It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can get all the way across Europe and Asia.
Not sure you want to do that, but yeah.
But it's there. Okay, so
yeah.
so stumble across the pod, and then they also
Okay,
all
so
went
anyway,
together for
I've
me.
been listening to one episode, and I like how you talk with each other and how is the conversation going, and really you're talking about many different things, films, and it's a very nice how to say, very nice flow. It's like not so strict, like, okay, now we talk about this topic and then we talk about that topic and then we get back to this topic, which is a little bit boring, but it's very entertaining. Yeah, and that's what I liked, and that's why I can't remember the specific episode, because I've been going on listening.
Yeah,
I've been driving 3 or 4 hours, and I guess I listened to 3, 4, 5 episodes. I'm not sure. I just had it right,
Yeah.
And Apple Podcast, they just take the next one and the next one and the next one.
Right. Just blows
So
through 'em.
and there was none that I felt like, oh my God, what those guys are talking about. Yeah. So after this, but that's also now, I think, almost 1.5 months ago, then I write an email. And I was, of course, I really don't remember the episode anymore, but I'm writing about the episode, I know, and what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, and then you get back to me, and I thought, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Could be
really
fun.
cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this kind of leads into another question that I'm always interested in. I think I'm interested in like the origin of languages, and I'm interested in comedy. And outside of America, I have learned that people are very prevalent in other languages than just their native language, right? So America,
People speak other
it's
things
like,
in English often,
yeah. So
which is always a why. No, I'm kidding.
and then you go back to it and think like, man, I wish, for me, I'm like, I wish that my parents would have like put me in Spanish when I was like in kindergarten, because now I'm 34 and I know some Spanish, but the idea of like becoming fluent in Spanish is like a really big thing. But how many languages do you speak?
Like speak fluently is just German and English. German is my native language, and English, of course, I also use more or less every day.
Yeah.
I used to learn 2 years French when I was in like primary school. Yeah. But so, because also we are very close with the French border, so I understand a lot more than I can write or can talk. I can't talk. But if I need to read a restaurant menu or something like that, I will pretty much understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Similar with Spanish. I had 3 years Spanish in school.
That's a lot.
I also lived 2 years on a Spanish island before I moved to Malaysia. That was in 2017. So it was at Mallorca, if that rings any bell. I don't know. Quite beautiful island. But there are so many Germans in Mallorca. You don't need to speak Spanish.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mallorca is the place. This is such a dumb reference, but Mallorca is the place in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's where Aunt Marge says she goes for vacation.
Oh, really?
Like, she's like, I just got back from Mallorca. Yeah.
I totally missed that, but I know it totally makes sense, because a lot of British go there for cheap booze and party all night. Because they also have this part on the island, which is like divided between British and Dutch and German and French for drinking the whole day, and then fly back 2 weeks later and start working again. And that was a nice summer vacation. But to be honest, this island has a lot more to offer than that.
Yeah. So in the comedy, in the comedy realm, that's so it's super interesting to me that you stumble on an English podcast and find it entertaining and are catching the jokes and stuff. I think I heard one time there was like, you really know you're fluent in a language when you start to understand the humor of it, because you gotta like know you gotta know references, the idioms, right? You gotta catch like double entendres and all that sort of
True.
that element. So then, like, I don't know why, but that fascinates me.
It is an interesting thing for Americans because there's obviously a growing, like rapidly growing number of Americans who are Spanish English bilingual. America needs to kind of like make a decision soon about using Spanish more officially in government stuff anyway, because there's so many Spanish speakers. Yeah. But outside of that, for Americans, it really is. And it's geographical. It's exactly like you said. It's geographical. When you have 9 countries that you can drive to in 3 hours, it makes a lot of sense to learn their languages. If you live in Washington State, the closest country to you is Canada, and they say a lot, but they speak mostly English. Yeah. Especially on the West, and like in the western side of Canada.
You can stumble into some Canadian that is like French, but their English is always there.
It's one of those funny things that I think, especially when Americans are in other parts of the world, we're not typically all just ignorant people. I don't think that's like an American thing, but we don't know anything about languages because this is not part of our culture. So to us, when someone's bilingual, we're like, tell us more. How do you say plate in German? How do you say cat in German? Like it's like a party trick.
Great questions though.
Great questions.
How do you say cat? How do you say cat in German? That's something my wife will want to know.
Buckle up, everybody. The next hour is going to be this.
We're just going to ask questions.
All right. No problem at all. All right. Cat in German is Katze.
Katze? Okay.
That's pretty easy one to remember.
Yeah, that's what okay. All right, we're not gonna do a full hour of German lessons. It's a fun idea. But
the fun thing about German and English is almost as a language like a mix of Latin and German. So like there's so many cognates because so many of our words, we have like a lot of the words we have 2 for, like the way that we have several words for cow, we have veal, we have beef, we have cow, because we have a German word for it and we have a Latin word for it. And those are both English words. And so there's a ton of, my younger brother did a lot of German in high school. There's a ton of crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. And also if you like go back in history a longer time, you easily find out that the English language comes a lot from German language as well. So it's very interesting. I also didn't know that since just recently, when I read about that.
That's
but
cool.
To me it's quite interesting, because for me as a native German speaker, I mean, I've been growing up with that. I have no idea about grammar rules, but I instantly hear if it's right or wrong. So I can tell you, it's right or it's wrong. Right. But for me, learning English was very easy. But everyone is telling me learning German is super hard. I mean, the people who are not speaking German. And I 100% believe that, because already from our grammar rules, it's tough. And many things just doesn't make sense. But you have to know. You need to remember. No matter what, there is no rule. You can get there, the A and B is C. No. A and B in this case is C. In this case is G. It's like, what the heck now? So it's.
I want that on a shirt. I want a shirt for NewWayStories podcast that says, "What the heck now?" That's the first merchandise we should sell. What's the heck? What's the heck now? However you pronounce that phonetically.
I mean, for me, I'm lucky that I don't need to waste time learning German, because I can do that already. There is this phrase, life is too short to learn German.
Is that a real phrase?
I think it's true. Yeah.
I'm going to start using it. Okay, so now, because you're in Malaysia, do you just work with, and then we'll get into kind of what you do professionally. Do you work with mostly English speakers, or?
Well, no. Mostly I work with Europeans.
Okay.
but like really with French, with British, with Spanish, with Swiss and Austrian, with Danish. Did I miss something?
But it's in like all of those speakers are in Malaysia?
No. They're all in Germany. All in Europe. Sorry.
Gotcha. So what about in Malaysia? Like where you're posted right now?
Oh, well, my wife is Malaysian Chinese, so she's speaking Chinese and Cantonese and Hakka and Hokkien, which are Chinese dialects.
Yeah.
I learned 1.5 years Chinese, but I gave up.
Life's too short to also learn Chinese.
Really, I mean, back then I started during COVID learning that. And I had a private teacher who was a student in Germany because I was stranded in Germany. I couldn't go anywhere. I mean, at least not to Malaysia. They were very strict with all of the restrictions. Europe was rather easy after a while. So I found this student and he helped me to learn the basics. So I know how to pronounce it. I roughly know how to read it, but not the sign language, but they have a different alphabet, like how the pronunciation is with English letters.
Like a Jinping or however you pronounce that. Yeah. But
Pinyin is like, So it's a bit difficult. But in Malaysia, they speak actually 4 languages, which is Bahasa, which is the language of the Malay people.
Okay.
They are mostly Muslim. Then we have around 30% Chinese. All the businesses usually are owned by Chinese. Then we have 20% Indian there, who are also having restaurants and this and that, and bringing their culture. And but all of them usually speak English as a
second language.
Combining language, second language. Also because the British were there for how many years?
Right.
Back then it was a crown colony, and then later on, together with Singapore, it was released to their actual government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you know like the political history of Malaysia, because it's Malaysia always seems Malaysia and Burma. And Burma's obviously they spent like over 100 years fighting for independence and fighting different wars. So Burma's interesting like that too. But I don't know anything about the political history of Malaysia. That makes sense that you're saying. Do you know how far back it was that Malaysia was released from?
Not that far back. That was in the 70s. That's not so long ago. I mean, they've been some kind of republic for a longer time, but they were always under the thumb of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And now they are still like organized within the Commonwealth of Nations, some kind of thing. So if you're holding a Malaysian passport, you can still go to UK for like 6 months without any visa.
That's cool.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, for you guys, that's standard. For me, it's also not so far away with the German passport. Sure. All of this is normal. But there are different countries, and especially in Asia, you can't travel with your passport often so good and in so many countries all the time. So this is rather some exemption, which is quite nice, especially for my wife, because there is nothing necessary. She can just come. Same with Europe. Just come to Europe at any time. She doesn't need a visa, which is pretty cool. And compared to Thailand or Vietnam or Myanmar or all Laos, all the countries there, they can't. Philippines, they can't.
Yeah. Crazy.
They need to apply first, and then they need a reason why they come, and they need money and this and that, and then only they can come.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just to travel, period. Just to enter a European country, like in the EU.
Only entering. This is just for vacation, even if it's just 10 days or what. They need to prove a lot. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Well, I'm like Darius was saying, it just like fascinates me. And when Christian and I were talking earlier, I was saying that, it's people outside of America, the borders of their country is not as much as in America, growing up, right, for us, it's like, you're going to leave Yakima? Like, what? And then it's like, right. And so, but like outside of that, if you're moving out of the country, if you're not American, it's not as big of a deal. It's a little more commonplace, which is fascinating. But okay, so you are a storyteller through film. Yes. Explain to us what your like full-time job is, what you do with film.
Well, I'm doing most of the time commercials, commercial advertising, social media content, for my clients. And these days, most of my clients are situated in the hi-fi and high-end industry. So you might know companies like JBL or Bose as a reference. Those companies are, let's say, rather mainstreamish. Yeah, everyone knows them. And then you have a certain top of that, which are luxury brands like Macintosh Labs or Bose and Wilkins, Focal and Name Audio, Bang & Olufsen, and those are my clients. So those people I'm filming, or for those companies I'm filming, I'm doing projects, whatever it is, more or less. Yeah, and with the changes nowadays, being away from broadcast, like having 30 seconds of commercial and need to hit as many people as possible, to a more targeted approach online. And you can, target pretty much everyone directly, more or less. It is a lot easier and for me to fulfill my clients' wishes, and also to target better, so I can I can create the videos much more for the target group than like 10 or 20 years ago it was possible.
Yeah.
So basically that's what I do.
Yeah. So, and now do you do like every step of the way? Like you record it, you edit it, production, whatever?
Yes. Usually I get a call from a CMO or CEO. Oh, I heard you did this and that for that and that company. Is that true? Yes, that's true. How did you do that? Okay, we need the same. We're launching a new product next year, or we are bringing out a whatever product, and this changes and that changes, or we need some image film, some kind of brand film about our values and this and that. Can you do that? Yeah, I can. So I sit together with them. Either I directly go there, fly there, meet with them, or in countless Zoom calls, find out what they exactly want, because that's the very first and most important step. You need to know, I need to know, what do they have in mind? What is the little black box upon their head? What do they need? And most important, okay, I can do any movie they want and any film they want, but what is this film supposed to do?
Yeah.
After you watch that film as ideal persona and target group, what are you supposed to do? Sign up for a newsletter, watch the website, or buy a product? There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And depending on this difference and what they actually want, I will create a story. And then depending on the budget, depending on the project, either I do that fully alone because it's rather a small project, or if it's a bigger one, I will have a small team behind me that support me, and we do that together for a few days shooting with a few people, and then later on do the editing and then the release. So my clients call me and want the all-in-one package.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not just doing drone shots and not just doing, slow motion or whatever. For me, I always found it a bit frustrating if I was like asking somebody, can you help me do my bathroom, renew my bathroom? Yes, I can. Okay, then I need one guy for the sink and the other guy for the pipe, the third guy for, oh, come on, give me a whole a whole offer and just do it. I don't care who you, how and what, and do it. So that's what was going on my nerves. So I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to do that or to offer it at least all in one.
I'm gonna need one guy that sets up the lights and then I need another guy that turns the lights on.
Right.
And after the guy turns the lights on, we actually have a shadow puppet.
That's American unions. Politics jokes. So we have talked multiple times about how story is laced through everything, right? And even down to the small social media ads that flash across your phone, right? Like the effective ones tell a story, whether it's you have a 6-second clip or a 30-second clip. Like you're able to communicate a story, and that's what you do on like a commercial level.
Yes, absolutely, and it is about the story. But again, the story is only can only be as good as the target group is defined.
Totally.
That's what I always learn. Not always learned, I know, but what I always see again and again and again. If I may, I will give you 2 examples that couldn't be more opposite. I have 2 clients. One is Macintosh Lab, a very big US manufacturer for masculine amplifiers and masculine. Everything is masculine from them. No matter the printers, the CD players. Really. You see that thing and you are like, wow,
It's all camouflage colored.
No. It's black, mostly black and chrome, of course.
Oh yeah.
It's really like on the side, those tubes, they stick out. The bigger the tube, the better. Like man.
So true.
And all what you need actually to tell a story with this is you put that thing on a lunch club atmosphere on some table. You put a cigar next to it and a whiskey on the other side, and you sit 2 guys in a chair, in those kind of Chesterfield chairs, and let them chat and talk. Behind somewhere is a fireplace or chimney kind of thing, with some fire on, and everywhere is smoke, and they are just men. Story told, that thing will sell.
The all-new patriarchy model DVD player.
Also working very good, for sure. So basically, that's it. I mean, for us, man, that sells already.
I'm sold.
But then, and we are talking, this is super luxury. We are not talking about any cheap device. We're talking about an amplifier that starts at 10 grand. And you need 5 devices to have that work. You need an amplifier, a preamplifier, a source like streamer or CD player or whatever. And you need the boxes. You need loudspeakers. So or mono block and whatever, until you are there, you spend at least 50 grand. At least. Okay, that's cool. One part. But the target group and also the buyer group, 99% is masculine man, like rocker or something like that. Okay. And then you have the other side is Bang & Olufsen. Bang & Olufsen is a Danish luxury brand. Have you heard about it? I'm not sure. I have never.
No, but I'm very curious.
It's basically the buyer group is very diverse. 50% women, 50% men. And those devices they produce are pieces of art. I can't say that differently. And you can define and decide how you want to have it. Walnut wood or oak wood or another nut tree wood. There you go. Mahogany, whatever you want. Metal, acrylic.
Wood.
Feel free. Whatever you wish. And also, those devices are working together with one remote. You don't need to switch on all by themselves. You press one button on a remote and everything is on. It's very user-friendly, very simple. Not the setup process, I know. They need like half a day or 1 day to do all of this and to set it up, everything accordingly.
Someone shows up with like a cigarette and one of those long sticks, and he's, I'm here to install your Ben & Oliver. It's the most
not like that, actually. People who install that, they need to know a lot of technique.
Right.
Seriously. But then the commercials, and okay, they don't do commercials, but the content for this company is so different. Like what I mentioned before with Macintosh Labs, very masculine. That doesn't work at all. What you need there is a home. You need a home.
Yeah.
And the wife coming back home, because those clients are always married and always have kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we are talking, you need to imagine, we are talking about a loudspeaker for $80,000 US. It's crazy. Yeah.
Cool.
But that thing, I don't know, maybe is they partner with Elon Musk and you can shoot that to the moon. I have no idea. Yeah. But it's really crazy what they are doing, how powerful that is, and multi-room. If you want to, you put one loudspeaker in every room, and you can.
That's cool.
Like you can do that across the whole house as long as you have your phone with you. That loudspeaker will see where you are and turn like the sound to you. It's really a different world, of luxury. Yeah, it's really crazy.
It's a robot. It's a robot that lives in your house that plays music for you.
Something like that.
No problem.
It's really like a piece of art. And that's why you take your wife, you go into that shop, and they are like, oh, honey, this fits perfect to our lifestyle and to our sideboard and whatever. So it's a different approach, and that's what you need to show.
Yeah.
And you also need to show how simple it works.
Yeah.
The wife comes back home, press one button, have her favorite music on because the device knows who is there. Yeah. Then the kids come back from school, they want to watch some, I don't know, SpongeBob SquarePants. There you go.
Yeah.
And then the husband comes back home, want to watch football. No problem. There you go. So, different approach, totally different target group, totally different storytelling at the end.
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
Cool.
So, okay, so that's what you do. That's what pays the bills and what you do professionally. And then you have another, side project. You just finished your first featurette, right?
Yes.
Which
that's right.
Yeah. So you said it was about
I was really
40 minutes.
You were going to say he's
long?
a house music DJ.
Just on the side. Featurette. You said about 40 minutes long, right?
Exactly. It's called A Seconds in Eternity. I can't talk too much about it, but it's a film noir style with a lady who is going to want to kill a younger lady to take over her life because that old lady don't like to be old,
Yeah.
So, and this is the story about that woman aging and of course also realizing something in throughout this film. Yeah. So that's what I can tell about. And right now we are in final stage of the post-production. I'm waiting for my music department to get back to me with the files. And then I hope I can bring it to some film festivals in, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks. Hopefully it will be done. And then I just need to wait and win as many prizes as possible.
Yeah. So,
that's what it's all about.
So this was the thing that drew me into your story, because I think that you're doing a more realistic version of childhood dreams, if that makes sense. So if you watch a movie and you go, I want to be a filmmaker, and how many honestly people who start and want to be a filmmaker end in creating a Hollywood motion picture, you know what I mean? They're so minuscule. And then for me who wants to be a writer, it's so limited on who actually gets published and becomes, a New York Times bestselling, where you can be an author full time or whatever. Those things aren't unattainable. They aren't impossible. But I think a more realistic thing is using your skills to do a job where you're creating, content for ads where you're paying the bills, and then doing something, for a lack of better term, more creative on the side that is fulfilling and hopefully turns into something. But at this point, it's purely a passion project.
Absolutely. That was more or less self-funded, was a low to no, it was not a no budget project, but it was a very low budget project for what we did and for where we filmed. I think we filmed in Thailand, we filmed in Germany, a lot different locations. We needed to go there. We had crew that was also doing that as a passion project. So it's also not easy to find people who are willing to go that way and to do that besides being a full-time. I mean, in my case, for example, I've been directing and filming the B-roll by myself, while the main scenes I had a DOP with me. But this DOP, Robert, it was his name. He's also full-time in the commercial filmmaking industry in Germany to, obviously pay the bills. Right. I mean, he's very creative. He's also doing that for passion and not for money. I believe if you do something for money, there will be some limitations. That's what I learned in my life, because I'm not a filmmaker from school, never went to film school. I taught all of that by myself. And I'm doing that only since 10 years. Before I was an insurance broker and I couldn't stand that anymore. So I followed my dream, actually, what I always wanted to do. But back then when I was young, I didn't dare because I need to make money, right?
Right.
I mean, you need to have a car and you need to have a fancy apartment first, and then let's see. And after that was accomplished, when I was in my 20s, then I felt a little bit empty here. So I switched. And I mean, it's a longer story, but
But I think it's really cool that, you're interested in filmmaking and then you were able to find a practical element to like make money off of that, or to provide a living off of that. For me, it's, I realized that I really enjoy being creative, but at the heart it is, creating community. And so now that's like laced into everything that I do, where I'm like running coffee shops, and yes, I love good coffee and I want to provide good coffee, but at the heart of it, it is providing community for people who want to come in and, and do that. And the podcast, it's a ton of fun every week to be able to get to hang out with these two guys. And, we're not making money off of it, but again, it's this sense of community that I'm like, brings people in, maybe makes people feel connected, maybe more in a more obscure way. But, it's like, right now I'm not making money off the podcast, right? If I do ever, that would be great. But really it's about connecting with people, and that in itself makes it a fun hobby at bare minimum.
I should probably admit that I'd make a little bit of money off the podcast. There's a handful of individuals that want certain things said, and they want subliminal messages poured out into the world, and they give me a certain amount of money every time I say certain phrases like swordfish, or anytime I say the word communism. I'll get from certain organizations. I'll get like a little
just
kickback.
A little.
It's like a few $1,000s. It's not like it's paying my bills.
I see.
Yeah, that's like what's the Amazon?
You're not gonna let me in on this? I'll say whatever.
I have no shame. How have I told you?
Ben sent me a list of slurs that he would say on the podcast, and I said, Ben, that's not. No one's gonna pay you for those. No one's gonna pay you for those.
That's how I'm creative.
Yeah, you just come up with creative slurs.
Yeah, some of them.
That's Ben's strength.
The email said
it's a passion project.
The email said CC slurs, but there was a lot of things on there that I'd never heard before.
You go. I thought at first that was his new rap name, CC Slurs, but
I was like, did you make a lot of these up? He said, yeah, they're for white people.
Okay, so filmmaking. This is another thing. Growing up in Germany, this is something that I'm interested in. Did you like Hollywood films? Is that what like drove you to being interested in filmmaking? Did you like Hollywood films? Is there like a German filmmaking scene that you were really into? What kind of brought you into it?
Also, what's your favorite movie? You can tack that on at the end.
I was going to lead into that.
Oh, sorry.
Stealing my thunder.
Sorry, I'm so curious about all this.
Okay. So, I've been growing up with Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all over TV. Jerry Bruckheimer, Con Air.
Let's go.
I don't know, a lot of, in the 90s, there were a lot of nice movies. Jurassic Park was coming up, and I remember I had to go to the movies into Titanic, with the girlfriend back then. That was like a must. And what to do, no?
Can I just, there's a writer named David Sedaris who is like published in the New Yorker a lot. And I just read his, he like published a collection of diary entries from 1977 to 2002. And in 1997, he goes, I saw a trailer for a movie called Titanic today. Who would ever go watch that? I thought it was just such a funny, like, this guy's like, this
every
is complete
girl's
trash.
Boyfriend.
And then every single person in the world.
Yeah.
Christian and his girlfriend walked out of the movie and she was like, I would like to paint you. She took him to the movie because she'd always wanted to paint him.
Can I paint you like one of my French girls?
No, so actually the 90s were full with nice movies.
Yeah.
But what really brought me into filmmaking was I've been it was in the 90s when I've been growing up, but I was 6, maybe older, 7 or 8-ish, 9-year-old, something like that. And I've been watching a lot of TV. Talk shows and also comics, of course, but also documentaries, because my dad always said, if I'm at home and you watch TV, then you watch documentaries. Otherwise, all of the other shit you can't watch. At least you learn something. So every time he was around, I was pretending to really be super interested in birds flying around and nesting, and what kind of tree is that, and why the leaf fall, whatever. Anyway, as soon as he turned around, I switched to the interesting stuff. But anyway, I've been seeing the trailers for these, like those intros for a talk show or for a news show or whatever, and I always felt like, what are they doing? This is so boring. We are talking about the news. The news. There is action going on, and you will bring those kind of in the 90s. And then the host was on and good evening. And I was like, my God, you can do that so much better. So I took a paper and draw, and I really can't draw. Drawing some, like how I would do that, and the earth here and turning, and I really remember that turning, and then we zoom into this country, into the capital, and have something, what's going on here and there and this and that. And that lead me to actually start building Lego with Lego bricks, TV sets and TV studios.
That's
Christian, can you see in the background? This is Ben's. Ben's. What is that?
That is the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings Lego set. It's a very Peter Jackson actually asked Ben if he could do some model shoots through that. Yeah.
I
will say, Legos,
so you're speaking his language.
I will say Legos feel like the most German toy you could ever have. You would sit down and your father would say, this game is called engineering.
There is maybe even one more, which is miniature railway.
Yeah, right.
Ooh,
right.
okay.
Very, very, very.
And guess who was doing that as well? Yeah.
Is that just all the cool German kids collected model trains or built model trains?
Before the model trains was the wooden trains, the wooden track, because as a German kid, you don't play with plastic, please. Yeah. It is not good for your education and everything. You need wood. Wood is long-lasting, sustainable, and all of this back then already. So I had my wood train quite long through the whole living room, and then later on my train, my small electric model.
Those
train.
things are so cool.
I mean, it was cool. I always loved it.
I don't know what it is about me, but the older I get, like when I was a kid, I am not good at I couldn't build a Lego set. I took my Legos and I threw away all of my older, like I would put away all of the pieces for building, and I would take the Lego men and I would make the Lego men fight. That was the only way I knew how to play with Legos. But like the older so I was like, I don't know, why do people like trains? The older I get, the cooler trains are. Trains are the coolest freaking thing.
You're going the way of the trains, like other like old American men. It's submarines. It's World War II. Like
World War II. Absolutely.
You're gonna be trains. Like you'll have a whole shelf of books. The big coffee table book. Your grandkids will not be interested in it at all, but you will go. Let me tell you something.
My grandkids.
Let me tell you about the Iron Horse.
They won't call me. They won't call me Pappy or Peepaw or Papa or Grandpa. They'll call me Conductor. Who wants to ride with the conductor?
So we're kind of coming up on to our hour. No, that's great. It's been super interesting, and we could do this for a lot more than an hour. Christian, I hope it's been as enjoyable for you as it has for us.
I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so you were building Lego models as like an 8 or 9-year-old. You're like, I'm going to film these.
Yes. So cool. Actually, it was more than that. I was back then the VHS cassette. So I was taping the talk show, and I was replaying it frame by frame. That was possible because I had a good VHS back then. So I was watching closely how they hide the cameras in those talk shows, so you don't obviously see them. So I started to rebuild this with my Lego set, and then I tried to recreate that angle and this and that, and that was what made me. I always loved the creative part mixed with the technical part. I always loved that.
Now, were these like German talk shows or American talk shows?
Those were German talk shows. We didn't have access to American talk shows in the 90s.
That's what I was curious about. I didn't know do you know who Jerry Springer is?
Of course I know.
I didn't know. I didn't know if you were like, I'm watching Jerry Springer and I'm trying to figure out the technical elements.
How did they get that vat of pudding out onto the stage so fast?
The problem with Jerry Springer as a talk show is I think it's not easy to see any camera because there is a security guy standing to prevent the guests from fighting with each other. So
amazing.
So American.
All right, so let's close. Let's close with this. What's your favorite American film, or what's like? I know that's kind of a hard question, but maybe what's a film that you come back to again and again? That's kind of how I like to rethink it.
There are a few.
Yeah.
But the one that pops out in my mind constantly is Interstellar.
Oh yeah. Yep. I mean, Chris Nolan. Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, any film of Christopher Nolan is amazing, in my opinion.
I agree.
But Interstellar had this, had a different, also emotional component that I really enjoyed. Yeah. But there is not one American movie, if you, No Country for Old Men, whatever the Coen brothers do, Wes Anderson is amazing. There are so many good movies from the last 30, 40, 50 years maybe coming from the US. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Okay.
To me.
Oh man. 2 really quick questions. One, did you listed the great gamut of the great directors from the 90s. You listed like one from every one of the. Was there anything like growing up? Was there one or two particular films that you rewatched and they really influenced just your desire to want to make
like as a kid?
As a kid,
you're saying.
Yeah, when you were a kid.
Matrix was quite intense.
Yeah. You're in your 30s, right?
I'm 38 now.
Okay, so you would have been like a young teenager.
Oh, that would have been
I watched Matrix when I was 13 and when I shouldn't.
Great. Darius and I were 8 years old, and we were neighbors in our early childhood, and then he moved away, and so our families went and visited. And this was like right when The Matrix came out. It must have been 99 or 2000. And
yes,
my parents were...
I was just born.
Yeah, so Ben wasn't around yet. My parents were very strict about what I was allowed. I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies. And I remember we went to Blockbuster, and Darius and I picked out Surf Ninjas, the all-time classic from the early 90s. Christian, if you haven't seen it, I think... You might dabble.
Surf Ninjas?
Surf Ninjas, yeah. What?
Ben, how have you not heard of Surf?
I wasn't born.
Listen, we don't have time, Ben, to get into a Surf Ninjas rant. But then it was Matrix, and I remember my dad was like, "Hey, we should let him watch The Matrix," and I was like so pumped that I was about to get to watch The Matrix, and he convinced my mom, and she sat me down and she goes, "Hey, like I'm gonna let you watch this. There's gonna be some language that you don't hear." I'm like, "Mom, I got this, right? I'm a 9-year-old. There's plenty of profanity on the elementary playground." But then we went through this whole rigmarole, and then like 15 minutes later, right before we're about to sit down, she goes, "Oh wait, you guys rented your own movie? Like you guys should just go watch Surf Ninjas." And I was like,
"Oh, your mom got cold
so
feet."
Close.
Have you asked your mom about that? Your mom got cold feet at the last second. At the last second, she was like, "Nope, can't do it."
So, okay, last question. Matrix, I mean, obviously, so good. Is there a German film? Because I think Americans, we are pretty aware of UK films, and I think that there's Irish films are kind of fun right now. And then also for me, like
Korean films.
Bollywood.
Yeah, totally. So Bollywood, and then Japanese. I think Japanese, and then for Darius and I, like movies that come out of Hong Kong, especially in the 70s.
Really?
We've heard of them.
Okay.
So, like Christian, for like quick reference, you watch. I don't know did you watch any Hong Kong martial arts movies as a kid before you saw The Matrix?
No.
So when we saw The Matrix, Jesse and I as kids, obviously The Matrix is very influenced by that kind of Hong Kong film and wushu kung fu. So we had probably seen 100 kung fu movies before The Matrix came out. So it was, as kids, it was as if an American in Hollywood made an American movie for us. Like that's how we, so like the feeling of watching that movie.
That was the pitch. They go, "Hey, we're going to make a movie for Jesse and Darius." And they go,
it was so potent to our brains. Anyway.
Hey, my mom ruined it.
I watched it 5 times.
Okay, but I don't, I consider myself a pretty big film buff, and I am I'm not averse to world cinema, but I don't think I really know any like German films. Is there something that stands out to you that we might have access here in America if maybe our listeners want to dabble in some German film?
Yes, definitely. I've been also thinking about that. There is one that was winning the International Academy Award years ago. The Life of the Others. It's really a good movie, but it's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's German history in the socialist part of Germany back then, the communist area, the German Democratic Republic. It's tough, but it's beautifully made, and if anybody want to understand German history a little bit better, this might be a good shot.
I think it's often like the next generation under, like you're a couple years older than me and Jesse. I don't know how much generally Ben knows a lot about history and political history, but I feel like generally most people younger than us don't even like have a reference for like the Berlin Wall. And you would, would be able, I don't know if you remember, like, did your parents talk about that when you were a kid?
I don't remember it because I've been 4 years old when the Berlin Wall fell. Yeah, so I don't remember it, but shortly after that, I remember some things and been talking about because it was all changing. I mean, our history was suddenly live. There was not like. Everything changed after this, and we started to have new postal codes because we were reunited. So they changed from the system we had before to the new system all over Germany. This one I remember, but back then I was also when they changed. I think it was 1993 or what. I've been also a little bit older too, so I've been able to remember.
Say the Life of the Others. Yes. Amazing.
Life of the Others. Goodbye, Lenin.
Say that one more time.
Goodbye, Lenin. Lenin was the leader of the
gotcha.
Republic or something like that. Goodbye, Lenin. Amazing movie. A grandmom falling into coma before the Berlin Wall fell down. Wake up after that. But very fragile, in a very fragile state, and her grandkids, if I remember right, it's also a long time ago that I watched that, and her grandkids is doing everything possible to give her the feeling that her political beliefs and political system still exists.
Oh wow!
So when she watched out of there was one scene I quickly need to tell you. She's watching out of the window, and they hang down a Coca-Cola banner, which was clearly not possible back then.
Right.
So the wall was fallen already, and they put down the Coca-Cola banner, and then the grandkids, the grandson, he was pretending like going on TV and reading the news in a costume for the grandmom, saying we made a collaboration now with the class enemy, with the capitalist enemy, and so on, and the grandmom was like, okay, really good, funny movie.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It has I forget the Daniel Brühl. I'm probably
Daniel Brühl. Daniel Brühl, yes, the German actor. He was also very popular from Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But he was also
an actor, the German sniper.
Gotcha.
In Glorious Bastards. Yes.
We would know him as the villain in Captain America: Civil War, Baron Zemo.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, we have we're at the hour. I want to go another hour because it's so fascinating. Here's what I think we should do though. You're about to put the featurette into festivals and stuff. I would love to, in a few months or whatever, to have you on again to recap, maybe just like what that looks like.
Why not?
And then I am like, we're talking German film compared to Hollywood, and I want to like know the different. I kind of want to nerd out and get in on the ins and outs of.
I'm gonna watch these movies. I'm gonna
absolutely and then we'll come back and have some feedback on German film.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
I'm very happy for that. Looking forward already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, that. Christian, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a ton of fun.
You.
And to our listeners, I hope that you have enjoyed a lot less of Darius and I, and learned something about the world through the lens of film. Which, honestly, I don't mean to get too serious, but like I learned so much through film that because I just am not engaged in a classroom setting, there was so much stuff that I learned. And so like world history and cultures, I learned through film, like taking that in, so much so to a fault that I will believe wrong things that when I was a kid, I heard, wrong things and fully believed them. And they go, where did you learn that? I go, oh, well, it was in this movie. They go, yeah, they were making a joke. That's not how it actually is. I go, okay, fair enough. But
no argument or pushback from young Jesse. Just, okay,
yeah, right.
All right, well,
I mean, any sort of like real history knowledge, it comes from movies for me. So yeah, Christian, thank you so much, man.
Yes, tell us where we can.
Thank you, Jesse.
Tell us where we can find you. Your website. You want to plug anything? You have an Instagram.
It's good host.
Yeah, I have Instagram. I have Instagram. You can find me by Christian_Schu_film. I mean, maybe you can tag me in the description. Or
I was going to say, we'll put you in the description. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
tag him
on
on
the website as well, Christian-Schu.com. If anybody want to reach out, I'm very happy, of course.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, guys, we will be here next week. You can always write in at the pod as well. NewWayStoriesPod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Christian Schu for cool filmmaking stuff. Yeah, that's amazing. We'll see you guys later.